Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this professional development opportunity titled Lesson Planning with a Focus on Clarity and Culturally Responsive Practices. The Sun Prairie Mentor team came together after being involved in a couple different book studies over the past few years in the district, and we thought about how might we infuse some of these ideas together in one place. And the books that we brought together, first one is called Clarity for Learning by John Elmerode and Kara Vandis. And several of the mentors, instructional coaches, other teachers, and leadership were able to come together with Kara Vandis for some learning for a 2-day workshop. And we were really interested in some of the things that she shared with us and that we learned from this book. And then the other book, Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain by Zaretta Hammond. If you have been in the district over the last couple of years, you may have been involved, quite possibly in your own school buildings, with a book study on this. We know that we definitely have a lens on bringing some culturally responsive teaching into our classrooms. And so just wanted to put together some ideas on how we can think through things from both of these aspects as we plan together. So just to get started here, just wanting to ignite us and get us grounded in the work that we're going to be doing. And this is a little bit more of a focus on the clarity piece. As a connector, I am going to give you a prompt of something to do. What you will need is something to write on, a Post-it note, a scratch piece of paper, anything like that, and also something to write with. It can be a crayon, a marker, a pencil, a pen. So just go ahead and grab those things. Give you a few seconds here. If you need to pause, go ahead. Okay. And the prompt I want to give you is, it says take a Post-it note, whatever you have, and draw a house. That is my only set of directions. Draw a house. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do so. Go ahead. Five seconds, add in those final details, and we're going to finish up with your drawing. All right, so we're going to move on to scoring. How well did you do on your assignment for drawing a house? So with what you have on your paper right now, please go ahead and take a look at the scoring that we have laid out here. If your house has a triangle roof, somewhere you see a triangular shape, 1 point for you. If your house has windows, you get 1 point for each window. For curtains, 5 points. And that's not per curtain, that's just 5 points if you have a curtain, or 0 points if you have none. You cannot get more than 5 points. If you have a chimney, 1 point. And 2 extra points if you have smoke coming from the chimney. And any landscaping that you might have around your house, please give yourself 10 points. Now go ahead and tally up your total. And on the next page, I have some ranges here. You will end up with a score of 4, 3, 2, or 1, depending on how many points you had. So 4 points is for a 20-point total. 15 to 19 points is 3, 10 to 14, 2 points, and 0 to 9, 1 point. Now it says on here to discuss with your group how you feel about your score, but we're doing this asynchronously. So just consider that. Are you happy with the score that you got? Are you irritated with the score that you got because you didn't know what the expectations were? How were you supposed to know that landscaping was such a huge part of this? It was half the points. Did you even add any landscaping in since it said to draw a house? Now think about a time where maybe you were a student in school and you got maybe a test back, or you got a paper back, or a project back, and you didn't understand what the expectations were. And you're like, why do I have this score? And you thought you put everything into it. Didn't make a lot of sense to you. And that's kind of where we're going with this. We didn't really lay out any expectations. Nobody knew what was expected of them for this house to be successful. And so I just want to put your minds there. So what are we going to do to meet our needs in this area? So our agenda for today, just welcome and launch, which we just did. Taking a look at the agenda, and I will get to the learning targets in just a moment. And then our two pieces of learning within this workshop. First is all around clarity. The second is around culturally responsive teaching. And then we will end with some closure. So our learning targets or essential questions. Many of you are coming from secondary buildings where we have the AVID program, and essential questions are posted on boards regularly. So questions we're asking you to consider as we work through today's workshop. What are some critical questions to consider when lesson planning? What do we need to be thinking about specifically? And that question is geared more towards the piece with clarity for learning. And then the second question, what does it mean to be a culturally responsive educator? And how might this start to look in practice? So we'll be able to take a little bit of a look at some of the things that Zaretta Hammond has said. I know many of you have been involved in book studies with that book already. So we will use a lesson planning tool to really embed some of those ideas into an actual lesson plan. So to get ourselves grounded with the clarity, I would like you to please read through some scenarios for Mr. Klein and Ms. Heiser's classrooms. And you can click on that link there. As you are doing those readings, think about what is positive in each scenario and what concerns arise in each scenario. And you will be prompted to answer some of those questions as we move along here. Again, you can just click right on the link there, and those little snippets will pop up for you. It's a pretty short reading. Feel free to pause the video and go ahead and just read those two different situations.